Hello, welcome to Elephant English Podcast. Today I'm going to talk about the things that I missed from living in the UK when I lived abroad in a different country.
How long did you live abroad for?
About 19 years, just over 19 years.
And what did you miss most?
I think that in the end, the thing I missed most were the seasons, the changing of the seasons.
Do you like the seasons in the UK? I thought it was too cold all the time.
No, I think the difference between where we lived and where we now live in the UK is that in the UK you have definitive seasons, you have different flowers and different weather systems in each season. Where we lived before, it seemed very similar all year round.
Did you miss the flowers in spring or did you miss the snow in winter?
I didn't miss the snow in winter, but I do like it when, after a hard winter, then you start to see flowers and the leaves coming on the trees and to notice a difference in the season. I think that everybody in the UK likes to see when the seasons are changing because then you look forwards to the next few months.
Yeah, because when it's hot all the time, it feels like there aren't any seasons.
Yes, but people think it must be wonderful to live abroad where it's hot all the time. And it is lovely to see the sun every day. And sometimes now that we do live back in the UK, we look out and it's been grey skies for days and days and rain, and it would be lovely to see the sun. But the difference is that with it being hot and sunny all the time, you have the same plants and trees, and really your view never changes. So I think it's important for us, for me, living in the UK, that things are different. Every few months, things change.
What about the language? Did you miss speaking English?
Yes, I did. Although I tried to speak the local language, and it wasn't always easy. I could converse a little, but I missed being able to go into a shop and to chat with people. And I think that as soon as we came back to the UK to live, it was something that I didn't realise I missed it so much, but now I'm very comfortable living back in the UK, and maybe I chat too much to the shopkeepers.
I imagine this happens to our followers. They're learning English, and when they go to an English-speaking country, they can communicate, but it's not really natural for them.
Yes, I think that when it's not your native language, you're limited to what you can talk about. I find that even as an English person, that when I go into a shop, generally we talk about the weather anyway, or our health. So they are basic topics that you could talk about with any checkout assistant or any shopkeeper, I think, whatever language is your native language.
Did you miss the food when you lived abroad?
Sometimes I did, yeah. It was very nice to buy different things at the local supermarket, and after 19 years they became normal. The local recipes, etc., and the different ways of cooking became normal, but there are always certain items like bread or cakes which are not the same as in your native country. There were some British shops, British supermarkets where we lived, but things were so expensive that you didn't buy the things very often. They did British breakfast cereals, but we would never buy them from there because they were about double the price of in the UK. But if there was something you really, really missed, or it was someone's birthday, you might buy them some English biscuits or something like that.
Did you miss the wildlife here?
Yeah, again, I don't think I realised that I did until now we're settled back living in the UK. And recently we put out a bird feeder with bird seeds, and it attracted the wild birds, and I could remember the names of these different breeds of birds from a long time ago. So I didn't realise that when we lived abroad that I missed them, but now that we see them every day, the birds, the squirrels, the ducks, etc., is very nice. I think the same with a lot of things. I didn't realise that I missed them, but now I have them. I can think, oh yeah, we didn't have them for 19 years.
Is there anything else that you missed?
Yes. Even though there were a lot of different cultural activities where we lived, they were traditional to that country. And if you had things like Easter celebrations and Christmas celebrations, they're very different to how we used to celebrate them in England. And the real thing is that having a Christmas tree up and decorated when it's about 28 degrees and you're wearing t-shirt and shorts, it's just not quite the same as having your Christmas tree with the Christmas lights when it's -2 outside. It just has a different feeling.
So Christmas was different. Was Easter different as well? Or didn't you really notice those differences?
Now that we're back here, we notice that in the supermarkets there are hundreds of Easter eggs and Easter bunnies and so much chocolate and things to celebrate Easter. And craft activities for children, and it's a bigger celebration than when we left the UK 22 years ago. It's the same celebration as before in the religious sense with church services and everything, but it's really commercialised now, as is Christmas. I think that's the biggest difference were the shops. When we came back, we were surprised at the shops and what was in the shops, and it took about 4 or 5 months for us to settle in to being in the UK again. We felt like we didn't belong in the UK for a while because of, I don't know, things, supermarkets were different, shops were different, and even the names of products were different. We were used to buying them in the foreign name, and still sometimes we refer to things in a different language because we both know them by that name.
And what about your friends and family? Is it nice to be back in the UK?
Well, we had a lot of friends when we lived abroad, and now that we're back in the UK, we're making new friends. But it's really nice to be able to visit family members. We often catch a train or a bus to visit family members, and it's really nice to catch up more often because before we might have seen them once a year, and now we visit family and friends 2 or 3 times a year, so it's fantastic.
If you have enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like and comment whether you have ever been to the UK and what you liked about it. Thank you, and I'll see you in another video.